Hey everybody, welcome to Pale in Comparison, a proud member of the Doof Network. In this podcast, my sister uses her knowledge of the Otherverse to take a look at Pact, Wildbow's least chill work, and I try to not give away any spoilers. I'm Jenny, and Malia convinced me to read Worm.
I'm Malia, and Jenny convinced me to read everything else. This episode, we are covering Sine Die, chapters 14.1 and 14.2. Before we get into that, however, I'd like to issue a spoiler warning. This podcast is filled with pale spoilers. If you don't know the significance of a dark, askew shape surrounded by junk metal, and don't want us to tell you, stop now, read Pale, and come back to this podcast. As for Pact, there'll be full spoilers to the chapters we are covering.
Is that from the most recent Pale?
I'm quoting from the Lucy chapter 22.7, I think.
Okay, gotcha. All right, guys. I'm really glad that Malia had to pronounce Sine Die, because I don't think I would have said it like that.
I asked Ben.
Perfect. Well, before we get started, we've got a fan art contest going on.
Woo!
That will transform your life and your whole perspective. I mean, maybe it won't, but transformation's the theme, so that's close enough. And the deadline's February 3rd.
Woo! I was thinking that it'd be cool if this time someone did like a little animated GIF or something.
Mm-hmm.
No pressure, but like a magical girl transformation sort of little thing. If we could see the transformation, that'd be cool.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I just thought of a discussion question.
Ooh, perfect.
Should I say it now?
Whatever, or just write it down.
I'll write it down, and the thing is, you're either gonna tell me it's dumb, which fair enough. Okay, Malia, just look at it and see if it's phrased well enough.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there.
All right. So I don't know if that means it's a go or not, but
I think it's really fun.
It's fun. Okay, great. And it's kind of related to the fan art contest. So there you go. So you'll just have to figure out what that means. But anyway, it is a new arc.
Woo!
So what does Sine Die mean?
So I had no idea, and I'd never heard of this before. This wasn't something that we talked about in law school. You learn some Latin phrases in law school, but this isn't one we ever learned. And so literally Sine Die is Latin for without day, which is perfect because
it's still nighttime.
Yeah. This is the arc without a day. And that's fun. I mean, not the arc. There's been plenty of arcs without a day, but this is one where they purposefully do make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the legal context, it means like indefinitely. So it's usually used for adjournment. So like adjournment sine die is adjourning a hearing or a meeting or whatever without like a set time to come back. So I read something that said at the end of every US Congress, they adjourn sine die and then like start the new Congress almost immediately or something like that. But yeah, so it means indefinitely.
Okay, cool.
So
interesting.
This is a dark arc. So stupid. And something is indefinite.
Something is indefinite and it's dark. So how does that make you feel?
Well, I think Earls Earl pointed this out, but I actually did remember this prediction. I predicted a while ago that the rest of this book is not going to is not going to be this night, and it's looking like less chance of that becoming true. That maybe this book will just be this night. Which is kind of a bummer, but also kind of hype because it's a fun thing to be like, all this crazy shit happens.
That's true.
But it is ominous, and I don't know, just like so to the point in a way that's funny, and I like it.
And it's kind of great. All right. Well, we'll start with our chapter summary. Blake replenishes his bones, while Green Eyes unusually isn't hungry. They form an alliance. Blake and his posse go to the Hillsglade house to talk with the opposition. Jacob's bell is on shaky ground. Alistair performs a time ritual and heals Evan. Rose and Blake clash, but have to coordinate. They split up, and Jake sees Johannes's play. What do you think of these chapters, Malia?
These chapters had everything. In a fun way. Like most everything I love. Rose is back, Alistair's back. And they're just I love them in the story. We get cute Blake Green Eyes interactions. We get Green Eyes being like scary in the best, funniest way possible. There's good Evan and Green Eyes banter. There's Jeremy. There's like conversation and discussion. And then there's like fucking wild shit. And there's also like, we have a plan, and that plan is immediately like put on hold, which is fun.
Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff.
It's just like, okay. Like, okay. Guess this is happening.
So Blake replenishes his bones, and Green Eyes does not snack on something, which is kind of unusual.
Yeah. So this arc starts off with like ruminating on goblins. And so we get more like goblins are scary, but like this reminds me of Maggie's interlude, right? With the like creepy, horrifying bodies and crap everywhere. But then also like makes me think that maybe the like force pushing everything into like shitty chaos or whatever is like the red-capped queen. I think that's her name. But like I think that we'll see the 3-beat of Maggie's blood and darkness and fire thing. And I mean this night seems to probably qualify. I'm not sure. But part of me feels like I don't want that to be the case because it doesn't feel like Blake and Rose centric enough. It like if Maggie was the protagonist of that story, that'd be perfect, or Bags. If Mags was the protagonist, it'd be perfect. But she's not. She's really important and really interesting, but it feels like for Mags's antagonist, like it's like if Pale was about I don't know, Melissa or something, and then like the wolf comes in and is the last big bad. Like it'd feel weird, right? Even though you like know about the wolf because you know about Avery and you really like Avery, but Avery's not like the center. And I mean Wildbow is like great and can do incredible things. So if it is the Red Cap Queen, I think he'll manage to make it fit
Legit.
and feel right. But right now it's kind of like, I want it like I need it to be about demons. Like I need it to be about Grandma Rose being fucking crazy and demons and Laird and like, that, not about the scary goblins. But like reading this part, I was like, oh fuck, there is that scary goblin lady out there.
Mm-hmm.
And what if she's the whatever the fuck? I don't know.
What if she's the ultimate baddie?
Yeah, it's like there's this force out there. It's making all the others super amp. It's not the Abyss ? Like the Abyss is just helping out. And yeah.
It's just, it's just helping along.
It's just assisting the other thing. And like I don't think it's the lawyers, but I think the lawyers could really benefit. Like I think there's all these entities that could benefit, but I don't know what.
That's fair.
I still like hope there's a demon under the house, but we will get there.
You hope that there's a demon.
Like every time anything happens with this house, I like freak out. But we'll get there. Okay. Yeah, so again, we're talking about goblins. Green Eyes is like, goblins aren't actually that stupid. Like, how do you think they survive? Like, she talks about them marking territory, and how when she would sometimes try to eat the bodies that they had messed with, there'd be like glass and razor wire and like all these like traps for her to make her, like to hurt her and make her suffer, and like that sucks a lot.
It does.
Yeah, and makes me feel and it's interesting that like I don't know, we're filling out a little bit more of her backstory, and like goblin stink makes her lose her appetite, but like not for the reason it makes most people lose their appetite. Like not because it's gross, because presumably she'd eat gross shit, but because it's like malicious.
Yeah.
And it made me think about like, oh, like in what ways did that progress her boogeyman transformations or like whatever to like swallow glass and various things.
Yeah,
And that
which is
sucks.
pretty. Yeah, that pretty much sucks. That's lousy.
Yeah.
Still hungry, so trying to eat it.
Yeah, it's just awful.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Speaking of unedible things, this is really random, but
Cool.
I had another weird dream that we bought a gallon of milk and I was pouring some for like the kids, and it came out looking really weird, like clear but kind of like goopy.
Ooh.
And I was like, "What is up?" And Vitalis was there, and he was like, "Just pour the milk." And I was like, "It doesn't look right. It's weird." And he's like, "Oh, it's probably fine." But I was like, "I feel like it looks like egg yet, like egg whites."
Oh.
And so I was like, "I'm gonna put some in a pan, and see." And so I put some in a pan and started cooking like egg whites. And the more like I poured out, it started getting like kind of yellowish in the bottom. So I was like, "Oh, those are fucking egg yolks at the bottom." They fucking gave us a gallon of like eggs. I was like, they really messed that up. And I was like, we're gonna have to return this. We're gonna have to return this to the store and get our milk back. And I don't know why we have a gallon of eggs.
That feels like a fun prank. I mean, it wouldn't look like milk, but imagine if you just opened your freezer and you had a gallon jug, but it was eggs.
It was fucking eggs, or at least not milk. Something that's like, yeah, like how random is that, right? It wasn't like whole eggs. It was like they're already
Right.
pre scrambled a bit, but like the yolk part
Pre-cracked.
was more in the bottom,
Yeah.
and the white part was more in the top. I guess I don't know. It was bizarre. So yeah, it was weird.
Weird.
Yeah, I'm really happy they don't serve eggs like that. Can you imagine? Be like half a cup of eggs,
No. I mean, that
or
just reminds me of like Gaston, and also that
ugh.
they sell like, I don't know if it's only egg substitute that's like that, but they sell egg in like cartons.
That's true, but it's not a gallon.
Yeah.
You know, that makes a big difference. I feel like,
Yeah.
yeah, gallon jug of eggs. Anyway, so I wouldn't want to eat that. I mean, obviously, glass is worse, but
Yeah. It's not great.
it's not great. Yeah.
Um
If anyone knows what that dream means, feel free to comment. I feel like I've been having
Wait,
weird
remember
dreams.
when we went and did the dream analysis for Blake? Let's do it for you. Dream meanings.
Okay, that one, and then what was the other one I had? The lady booing the risotto.
Right.
And then, oh, I had another one about work. I don't know if I told you that, but I dreamt that like it was one of those dreams where like you wake up and you're really like stressed out, like you're in trouble.
Uh-huh.
Because we use a lot of like sedation medication at work, right? And so we're constantly like wasting, like if we don't, uh, we basically pull like a few vials of like fentanyl and Versed. Usually that's what we use like for each case. We use as much as like the patient needs, and then when we're done, we waste it afterwards. That's not how they normally do it, like on the floor or different parts of the hospital, but that's how we do it in our procedural area. And so I was dreaming that had like a full syringe of fentanyl left, and was gonna waste it with somebody, and was just by like the medication machine or like the waste thing, and was just talking, being like, "Man, I've just been so stressed out," and I was just like on a whim, like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and relax. And I mean, I don't know how because I didn't have an IV, but in my dream world, I just like injected this full syringe of fentanyl just like into myself somehow. And I was like, oh man, that feels better. And then I like realized, oh no, this was illegal. Oh no, I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna lose my license. Like I can't work like this. What did I do? And then I woke up slightly panicked and realized, oh yeah, I wouldn't like that's just bizarre. It's really weird.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. That was a weird dream. Um, it was like, oh man, I did that right in front of somebody. And they didn't even seem like freaked out or anything. They were just like, okay. So that was a weird dream.
Wow.
So what do these dreams mean? If anyone is an expert and can tell me.
Well,
I mean,
dreammoods.com doesn't say anything about seeing a bunch of eggs that have already been like there's cracked and broken eggs, but that's not really what you saw, right?
No, it wasn't. Weren't any eggshells. I mean, I guess it was just a bunch of like mixed up beaten egg, I guess,
Right.
in a
And
jug.
well, okay, so if the eggs are scrambled,
But it's
it
like the yolk
represents
was at the bottom more, and
yeah, it's not really
yeah.
Well, okay. The closest thing I can see is dreaming of only the egg whites refers to your support system in your new endeavor. It is also symbolic of your comfort zone and knowing your limitations.
I feel like
So
that
you're
doesn't help me.
comfortable in the milk. Okay, so
So I'm comfortable about the milk, but like, what does for dream about just egg yolks mean?
it doesn't say. But to dream that you are drinking milk signifies domestic bliss and inner nourishment. If the milk is spoiled, sour, impure, or bad tasting, it suggests that you need to hold back your support. You may be too trusting and need to question the motives of others.
What does it mean if I'm cooking it in a pan
Well,
and it turns into an omelet?
if the milk is hot, it represents comfort and calmness. Would you say you were bathing in milk?
I would not say I was bathing in milk. I would not say that.
Yeah, I looked up gallon and I couldn't. Oh, maybe jug. Maybe
Jug.
there's a jug.
Jug of eggs.
Jug of eggs. That's a good episode title. Okay. Jug. Nope.
No. I mean, obviously, this dream list is outdated. So.
Oh, wait, no, jug. I found it.
Oh.
Okay. To see a jug in your dream symbolizes innocence, abstinence, and virginity.
But I feel like eggs seem like the opposite, right? Like fertility and like.
Alternatively, the dream may be a pun on jugs or breasts, and particularly if the jug is filled with milk, it highlights maternal instinct or natural power. Yeah, I feel like milk and eggs are very like fertility.
Yeah. Is this saying that I secretly want to have a baby?
No. You already have babies, so maybe you just want to take.
Maybe I want a dog.
You want to nourish your babies.
Oh, maybe I want to nourish my babies. That's true. I was trying to feed them. Well, I was trying to nourish my babies in the dream, and then I couldn't because it was fucking eggs. So what does that fucking mean?
Do they not like eggs?
Not raw eggs in their cup.
Well, then you cooked them.
Actually, they don't like eggs. Miko doesn't like anything, and
Right.
Lily actually doesn't like eggs.
What?
At least not yet. Like every time I've given it to her, she's like been like bad about, you know.
That's wild.
Yeah,
She likes everything.
She does like a lot of things. I mean, it also just seems like she likes everything because Miko likes nothing.
Interesting,
So,
yeah.
So maybe she doesn't like everything, but I mean, yeah, we'll just have to see. All right, but wait, what's the other one? Is the booing risotto?
Right.
I need to know what that means.
But it wasn't even. You weren't even. It was mom was telling you about someone doing it.
Yeah, and she was pointing over at like the lady in the other table, and she hadn't quite started doing it when I had like come in, but like all the waiters were walking around and avoiding everyone's like eye contact because they didn't want to like go talk to her. But then I think one kind of came by, and mom was like, "Yeah, that lady," and then someone from another table was like, "Yeah, it's that lady. She keeps booing the risotto."
Okay, well, booing. To hear booing or dream that you are being booed indicates that you are seeking approval and affirmation from others. Alternatively, you may find yourself in an embarrassing or shameful situation.
I feel like that. Okay, so the risotto was trying to gain approval and was shamed, or the chef.
Yeah, well, I'm looking to see if risotto is in here, and I kind of doubt it, but then we'll go to like rice. Rice is in here. Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, not in here. Rice is to see grains of rice in your dream symbolize success, prosperity, luck, fertility, and warm friendships, but you didn't.
I feel like I remember seeing the dish. But,
okay.
But what does that mean when she was booing it? That seems like not a good thing. You're booing the...
Right. She has found herself in a shameful... Okay, wait. She's seeking approval and affirmation from others. So this fake woman in your dream wants success and prosperity and luck and fertility and warm friendships. And maybe isn't getting it.
She's, I mean, no, it's a real mystery why she's like booing her fucking plate in the middle of the restaurant. It's shocking that she's not more popular. I remember thinking it was just like I don't even know if I thought it was funny in the dream, but I was just like, ooh, this is drama. I want to see, like I want to see some shit go down.
So I also have story because mom was telling you a story. So to tell or read a story in your dream indicates that there is some life lesson or moral that you need to learn or recognize. So maybe you need to learn that you want success and fertility and all that shit I said. To see or be a storyteller in your dream suggests that you need to hold on to the past and learn from it.
Okay,
You need to appreciate traditions
this
and the
is just
lessons from the
appreciate
past.
tradition. Appreciate tradition. Okay, this is just getting
really
weirder and
fun.
weirder. The more
Completely
I'm like,
nonsense.
it's making less and less sense.
Right. I have no idea.
I guess mom's a storyteller. The risotto's the lesson, or like the risotto's like, and booing the risotto is like that like the moral, like don't boo your risotto.
Ooh, do you want to know what it is to dream that you're in a restaurant?
Yes.
Okay. It suggests that you are feeling overwhelmed by choices and decisions that you need to make in your life. Alternatively, it indicates that you are seeking emotional nourishment outside of your social support system.
Does it mean anything if the tables are round?
Oh, fuck.
Weirdly, I remember that they were round and white tables.
Oh, I can look up white. Probably.
Yeah,
We
I
promise
don't know.
we'll get back to the episode sometime, y'all.
I mean, we will, but like honestly, this is just showing like these dream sites need to be updated because, I mean, come on,
They just need more.
they need more.
And maybe
More
I
weird
can't
shit.
just look up colors.
I can't be the first
There's
person
white
that's dreamt
house,
of
white
risotto
wash,
or
white
of
out,
like
wife swapping, wildebeest,
wildebeest.
will. If you dream that you're writing your will.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's self-explanatory. I feel like you're probably going through some shit.
Wait, Blake had a dream about flying. I want to see wings. What is, what's this going to tell us about Blake?
Could be that he's friends with a bird. I mean, that could be the deep meaning.
It might be. Okay. Oh, this is funny. Okay. To dream that you have wings suggests newfound freedom. You are on the right track and are soaring to success without limitations. Alternatively, you are trying to escape from a difficult situation.
Okay, that seems probably more likely, but that's funny.
That's so funny.
That's pretty good. Okay, back to the chapter.
Yes.
We're talking about non-edible things.
Yeah, so Green Eyes is really sweet, and Blake is trying to get healed and get bones, and he's trying to, treat this body with some respect, so he covers its eyes. And Green Eyes is kind of like, they don't stay shut even when you are able to close them, so just, you gotta just think of them as meat. You can't, don't
bother,
think of, don't dwell on it. They're not people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And Blake says, that he really likes the idea of there being the person inside, and what exactly does he say? It's not your body that is the person.
Mm-hmm.
And Green Eyes is like, why do you think I like you, you knobhead? Which was cute. And knobhead is a fun name for Blake.
That is a fun name.
Like trees.
It is interesting how different. I mean, this probably sounds like a really stupid thing to say, but it's interesting how different people look when they're dead. Even just compared to being in a coma or something like that. It's just very apparent, very obvious that they're not there anymore. Sorry. Yeah, just thinking about stuff. I had a patient die a couple weeks ago. Again, that was very young. Yeah. Sucks. But it's awful. Hate that. It's a bad thing about where I work, because we have some rescue procedures that it's they had to do it or they would have died anyway. But the procedure itself is very risky. So it's they're talking to you beforehand, and then even during, because during this some of the procedures, including that one, like you can't be very sedated for. And so
wow.
she was talking beforehand. So it sucks. But anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of wild. It's a big difference. But
Yeah, and I mean, I like this thing that Green Eye says about, like, you know, like seeing the light in someone's eyes is like that's where the person is.
mhm,
It reminds me about like talk about like a soul or
mhm,
whatever. I it reminds me of Dad talking about what he wanted after he dies, and this was years and years ago. But I feel like he was kind of like, I don't really care because that's not me anymore. Like, do
yeah,
whatever,
whatever
like,
you guys want.
right, like makes y'all feel whatever. But like, your body isn't you is a
Mhm,
very, I feel like, is a very Catholic sentiment. But then also, like, your body and your soul are very connected in Catholicism, and like, back in the day, they were like, you have to bury your body whole because you're gonna need it again when Jesus comes back. Which is wild.
which is pretty wild. It's like,
But also, I
really?
guess, makes sense. um
I mean, it doesn't, but I'm like, I could see kind of what they were thinking, but it's like, no.
they're like, no, you need that. God can't make you another one. um
Yeah,
Ben's
like, what are they gonna do?
I think Ben's favorite part of mass is so during the Nicene Creed, the toward the end, we say, and I look forward to the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come, and every time we say that, Ben giggles. Because they altered the translation in English. I mean, like 10 or 15 years ago at this point, but I remember that I would always chuckle at that until I kind of got used to it. But yeah,
Mhm, that's right.
we look forward to the zombie apocalypse.
I know.
We're all about
It
it.
does sound, it's like, I mean, oh, that's kind of metal, you know?
Catholicism is so metal.
So metal, guys. Yeah, like, you wouldn't think it, but, like, yeah, upside down crosses and shit. I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
that's, like, that's about as, like, religious as it gets, guys.
I mean, like, we drink God's blood.
We
The
do
fact,
drink God's blood.
like Mariska's
That's
whole
true.
stuff. I'm just like, in some ways, it's tame.
Well, it's like, you know what? Talk about, like, stealing, like, you know, I don't know, just, like, stealing, like, credit, you know?
So, yeah.
It's yeah, like, you weren't the first one. Okay. I mean, sure, you made it, like, all about the blood, but, like, you weren't the first one.
Right. So good.
I mean, yeah, upside down cross isn't, like, a Catholic thing per se, but it's, like, it always just kinda makes me laugh when Satanists use it, but
Because it's like St. Peter.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's, like, the sign of, like, I don't know, like, because what he got crucified upside down because he wasn't worthy to be, like, right?
Right. I think he requested it
Yeah.
to die like Christ. Yeah. He's insane. I love him so much. Peter's one of my favorites.
Peter's Peter's pretty sweet stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe it is a Catholic. I don't know. It's Catholic Christian, whatever.
Hmm.
It's some anyway. It's that thing. Next. Okay, let's keep
Oh.
talking.
Yeah. Green Eyes points out what I think I pointed out last episode, that Evan's been grouchier. Um,
Mm,
and this makes me worried because I think that he's becoming more abyssal after receiving that power boost from Blake arcs ago.
mm,
And they do kind of address that this arc and talk about it. And when Alistair heals Evan, it seems like maybe some of that's been pushed away. Because I don't
yay.
want the Abyss to have Evan, and I'm very worried about him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's too sweet.
Yeah. Um and then there's this moment where Blake says, "We're near the ferry house, it's 2:11 o'clock." And I don't know why, but I was like, oh, Blake knows about Joanna Duchamp and he's gonna go save her. Like, I was like, oh my god, hope is near. I don't know if this is literally it
It's
in my
very
mind.
optimistic of you.
In my mind, this was the first time the fairy house had ever been like mentioned other than last chapter. Like, I don't remember them being like, oh yes, the fairy live right there. Though, whatever. But just this being brought up like right after that, I think was a little like stab in the heart from Wild Bow to be like, ha ha ha, you know who's in there, but also
Yeah.
like made me a little hopeful that maybe someone will figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when they were like, let's keep walking, I was like, no.
No, don't keep walking.
No. Why don't you go visit? Not that they can glamour everything up so you can't see her anyway.
I mean, yeah, that's very true. Well, they form an alliance with some scary others.
Yeah, this was frightening. I didn't think that they would, or I was worried about them like attacking Blake or whatever. And it's cool that they're all just like, "Hey bro, fuck humans, right?"
I know.
Um and yeah, do you remember did you like these guys when you read Pact?
Honestly, I don't remember that much, but I think, I mean, I was freaked out and then was like relieved.
Mhm.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
A
That's
little bit of
that's
a fake out.
that's pretty much how I felt.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just I don't know, they're cool and I'm curious and excited about this like colorful feather angel guy. Um and I mean it's just I don't know. The Revenant is really scary because he always is like happy and cheerful even when he's saying like creepy awful shit. So I'm less comfortable around him, but they do make a deal to be chill or not aggressive. And the faceless woman is fun and horrifying.
Yes.
Um, but it is refreshing that Blake doesn't have to be like he doesn't have to convince them about what's happening. Like they're smart enough to get like, we've been manipulated and this is bullshit and, you know, let's team up, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so this is a beat of them being like, hey, a lot of us have noticed we're stronger and it's weird. We don't like we like it, but like there's something, weird going on, and that's contributing to like again, this story is reaching its culmination, and it has to signal to us like there's something else. And these are hints that I don't know. Um
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I thought it was funny that Evan Evan doesn't want to kill Behames because they're like such familiar adversaries that they're kind of like friends
Almost like fond.
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he just like compares them to like certain adversaries in a video game that you beat over and over and over, and then you're kind of like, oh. And I thought it was funny that the Revenant knows about video games, but like Green Eyes doesn't.
Yeah.
And like just how much of her life has Green Eyes forgot, but also like, Tiffany probably doesn't know what this video game is. Like it's not like everyone definitely knows, but it was kind of interesting. I mean the Revenant was also human. But yeah. But it's a relief that Blake's like, no, we don't want to kill the Behames, we just want to like kneecap them. With the Duchamps, it was the husbands, and with the Behames, it's their huge well of power. And when realize that, you're like, hey, already on it. Like, I'm glad we get to see the time stopping thing, but I almost thought that it had like already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Blake's been carrying this body around because he's worried that he'd be karmically responsible for someone's innocence being hurt or the spirits having to like smooth that out.
Mm-hmm.
And no one else really seems to be concerned about this at all. And it's interesting, like it's one of the things that makes me really like Blake. He's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to treat this body with respect and not fuck up innocence and lots of different things. But it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that no one else seems to care at this
Yeah.
point.
I guess they're like, well, it's not my karma. I don't know. I didn't put him there. But
Yeah, well, even because I mean the goblins set up that thing, and like there's like a fucking dragon question mark, and like
yeah.
I mean I the innocents are on some sort of like super sleep, magic-y power or whatever, but still like if all the buildings downtown are destroyed tomorrow, like that's a problem.
True.
Or something. Yeah, and then we get a really cute moment where I don't know, the Revenant or someone says like I like this one, and Blake goes like I like her too, and I'm like, oh,
That's cute. It's
that's
adorable.
so cute.
All right. So Blake and his posse go to the Hillsglade house to talk with the opposition, and we find that Jacob's bill is on shaky ground.
So the house looks like shit. we get a fun reminder of how the lawyers can take the house away when it looks like shit, and we get a fun reminder that they exist and they might show up and probably will show up before the end of this story. So that's fun.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm really proud of Blake for trying to talk. He recognizes that he can't just pick a fight with Alistair because he's too good at anticipating things, but I don't know, he really is trying, I think. And Alistair is also really trying. I think Rose is also trying, but it's like really hard for her. But Alistair is like really trying to get Blake on side. Like he says things like, "We're allies, Blake." Like and I mean, I guess there's, room for them to like turn on Blake later. But Alistair taking his ring and then giving it to Rose, and it's clear that like the thing is she's supposed to give it to Blake, is a really powerful symbol, and like really, Blake could just try to destroy it or whatever immediately. And it's just, I don't know, like I really like these people and I'm proud of them.
Yay.
And yeah, Alistair's pointing out that like you're really well positioned because like you're a scary other and there's something making all the scary others stronger, and like maybe you'll come out on top and manage to beat Johannes and manage to do the whole thing, but we're all gonna be fucked, so blah. But yeah, there's a funny moment where Blake says, "Yeah, my goal is to like destroy your well of power," and Alistair's like, "Perfect, already on it." Like, and and Evan goes, "Rose, you've married a lunatic," which he could probably be like gainsaid for, because as far as we know, they're not married. But that was pretty funny.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
But yeah, the Alistair reveals that they know something big is going down, and it's exemplified or whatever, illustrated by the Tower card. And having learned, a little bit about tarot in the course of this podcast, like this was really hype and exciting. Alistair explains it. The Tower is the worst card in the major arcana to get. It's worse than the devil, it's worse than death. It is destruction, it is disaster. But then he also described it as revolution and revelation. I think Grandma Rose would be very excited to hear that. The revolution part.
Yeah.
But the tower is tower card is it's being destroyed, it's falling. And so like this house, this town falling is a very perfect match for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So I guess how does this fit in with the demon under the house theory?
Oh my god. I was so excited. I was in disbelief, but I was so excited. I was like, is it? Because it's like, we're doing Omen. And then the house starts to sink, which maybe would happen if there was like a sinkhole under the house created by the presence of a demon who's escaping. And oh my god, I got so excited. It was like when Maggie, or when Mags almost like fell into the abyss. She was seeing like the cracks everywhere, and I thought it was like the demon under the house was coming out or whatever. Like several times in this book, I've been like, demon under the house, and it hasn't happened yet, but maybe. I'm just saying, like, the big scary demon under the house would be a satisfying, like, ultimate threat that is causing all this bad shit or whatever.
Yes, I mean, that would be exciting.
I was so excited.
I think that this is also very exciting.
I mean, yeah, sure. It is exciting.
But not demon exciting.
The idea that in like, Arc 2 or whatever, the way that the hill is described, I'm like, oh, there's a demon under the house. And if I was right, like, God, that'd be so great. And I know that it's silly and it's probably not true, but it would be so fun if it were. But yeah, so we learn that this town is fucked. The abyss is trying to pull this whole city down. It's being anchored in place because of the innocents, but Alistair's like, the innocents are gonna wake up and they're gonna see all the like dead people and scary shit, and they're all gonna leave, and then we're all gonna get sucked down into the abyss forever.
Mhm.
Part of me is like, y'all should just leave, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's gonna be
I
bad.
yeah, I guess they don't want like a demon loose in the abyss, but there's
I mean,
probably a lot of those. So
they probably just don't want a demon loose anywhere.
sure.
You think there's a lot of demons in the abyss?
I don't know. It's supposed to be like hell or something. It'd probably be worse though. I don't know. Where do the demons live?
I mean, it's a great question.
Because like
Where do they get
presumably,
summoned from?
right? And like, are they all? Presumably, they're not all bound somewhere. Like, I mean, there's Pose, but like 2 out of the 3 demon-like things we've met in this story are bound.
Mhm. Well, had some demon babies.
Which are currently bound.
True, but I'm saying
Right, there's
they
more
had some babies.
more little guys.
I'm pretty sure they say something about that in the story, but I don't remember exactly what they said, or I'm making that up. But I feel like I
Yeah.
remember hearing.
I don't think I know yet, or I missed it. But
I don't know, or I'm making it up. But it's. I mean, that covers all our bases. You know, they either tell us or they don't. So we're covered.
and hopefully someone will let us know.
Someone will
if
definitely let us know.
we should
I can
have.
guarantee that. Someone is going to comment something and tell us exactly what.
Right.
Because we have very educated and smart listeners
We
who
do.
tell us a lot of things that we don't
It's
always address
useful.
on the next podcast.
Right.
But I always read them anyway. I
Correct.
appreciate it. Anyway. Next, Alistair performs a time ritual and heals Evan. Rose and Blake clash, but have to coordinate.
So this was fun. There's a diagram in the house, and there's these blue braziers. One of those is probably right.
Isn't braziers like a bra?
Is that like brassiere? I don't know. I'm trying, y'all.
I'm pretty
There's these
sure. Okay, well, it's fine.
this blue flame contained
We know
in
what you mean.
things around. And there's this diagram, and it's an octagon, and there's all this. It's all blue and dark and cool, but then there's like green eyes that are shining.
Brazier.
Brazier.
I think it's brazier.
Braziers.
Okay, whatever. Sorry. That's what Google was like. I was like, I think it's brazier because I'm pretty sure that's a bra. But it does look like it should be pronounced that way, to be fair. Brazier.
But yeah, I think I assumed that there just wasn't electricity in the house anymore because they'd fucked it up so bad. So it was surprising to me when they turned the lights back on later.
Yeah, that was a little shocking.
But
those electricians who set up that house did some pretty great
did
work.
A good job.
They did a good job. Because that house has been through a lot of shit.
So much.
Like, a lot of shit. So, like, props, mad props.
Mm-hmm. But yes, they're going to do this ritual thing, and they have a fun little pun or something where Alistair didn't miss a beat, because, like, chronomancy. And he steps in, and he puts the ring down, and he spins it like a top. And I love that somewhat, like, all the Bahams are so fucking done with Alistair, and they're like, that's not part of the ritual. And Blake is like, theatrics. And Alistair's like, theatrics? Like, just like... Alistair's all proud and thinks it's all fun, and Blake is like, oh my god. Like, on the one hand...
Did Rose say that?
I thought it was Blake and Alistair.
Well, no, I think Rose said that's not part of the ritual, though.
Oh, she did? I thought it was, like, some other lady. Let me look.
I don't think so.
This might not be important.
I think it was Rose.
That's actually pretty funny. Oh, it is Rose. Huh.
Woohoo!
I don't know why my brain read, like, something else.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah, it's just funny that, like, the spirits love that shit, and Blake, like, knows it and maybe thinks it's obnoxious, and Alistair knows it and thinks it's fun. And I think that's fun.
That is kind of fun.
So then, they turn the lights back on, and Tiffany immediately screams because Green Eyes is, like, inches from her face. And I'm like, one, this is really funny. I guess she's kind of to the side of her, because if she was right in front of her, you'd see her big eyes, that are glowing. But, like, that was super fucking funny. And then, like I think Green Eyes is like, this girl's cool. And Tiffany's like, this girl's fucking scary. And I hope
Yeah.
that they're friends by the end of the story.
I'm just like imagining right now like some scary mermaid face like being like right next to my face. I would for sure scream
Completely white and like pointy
and just like
teeth and glowing
staring at
eyes.
you,
And
glowing eye. Yeah, I would
you've
scream
seen
for
her
sure.
like brutally murder several things like
Yeah,
that
I
day.
would like, yeah, be like, oh man, just don't pay any attention to me. Just don't look at me.
So good.
I feel like for some reason, just that like image, even though they don't have like the little like, I guess fishing hook or thing, reminds me of like an anglerfish, like those fucking things in that fucking game.
Outer Wilds.
Yeah,
They're so scary.
holy
I still have to
shit.
beat it.
Every time it's like I haven't played that for a little while, but like, man, those things freak me out.
So scared.
Stinking angler things. Those are spooky.
Yep. But yeah, I like the note that they're skipping Tuesday. So like I think basically the whole book since arc 9 or whatever has been a Monday, and like now it's Tuesday. And something about the specificity of that is really fun.
Yeah, I just have to think like in Jacob's Bell, if there's like a little hospital or like just any kind of businesses that do night shift,
Oh god.
gotta feel so bad for those workers. It's like, are they gonna get paid double? Or like they're just gonna get paid for one normal shift because they're gonna be like, of course we didn't work for 24 fucking hours. That doesn't make any sense.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
So I remember like said something about like, people might get bed sores, and I'm just like, if you're sleeping and rolling around in your sleep, you're not gonna get bed sores. But there are people that like obviously very sick and elderly or like have injuries or whatever, they can't move. So that made me think about like, oh, the hospital, like they're gonna be turning people for a long freaking time. I mean, they would during the day too, I suppose, but
Well, I'm
just
wondering if it's like
they like freeze.
right, like the snowflakes and stuff froze. Like when
Oh, that's true.
did that, when Blake managed to use the time magic or whatever, like everyone else stopped and he could run around and like get Laird's blood or whatever he was doing in
That's
Arc
true.
7.
Ooh, if they get pressure injuries, then like
For 24 hours, that'll be
frozen
really
stood
bad.
up or frozen like
shit.
sitting somewhere awkward, or what if someone's like frozen jumping in the air? Maybe that'd be the best thing because you wouldn't get any pressure things anywhere. I mean, not that someone's going to be jumping in the air. Like,
It'd be a fun chronomancy experiment. Hi, can you use like centuries of your family's time to do this fun experiment? Although maybe you only need a couple hours to see what would happen.
Just make you wonder, like, how much magical research do they have? You know, like, do they make any research studies based on shit like that? Because I know they write books,
right?
Like,
there does seem to be some sort of like, I mean, there's a lot of like rigor and study in academia and things, but yeah, I don't know that they do like double blind studies or whatever the fuck, like
double blind, yeah, exactly, where they get like a control and be like, okay, here's like someone jumping once, not in a time freeze. Here's someone else standing in a time freeze. Here's someone, yeah, and they
I wonder if, I wonder if that would confuse the spirits to do the same thing, like, because I feel like, like I could see like Verona sitting there with like alchemical stuff, kind of like trying different shit out or whatever. But I almost feel like if you're kind of doing the same thing over and over and over, like maybe the spirits will get that you're trying to figure out what's going on, but maybe they'll be like, oh, do they want something different? Like, this is boring. Like, I wonder if like the effect would decrease
change
or like what would,
that's true.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I don't know. Maybe that's why we haven't heard about any magic research papers. I don't think we have, right? I mean, I know we've heard about books and like a lot of like study, but yeah, not
right.
like
I don't remember like studies of that type.
Okay, I think so.
Yeah. But yeah, so they establish a fun clock for Barbatorum. Rose needs to check on it in 2 hours, because it's gonna get out in 3. That's just fun little detail, especially considering that Blake and Rose are running around doing other shit right now. At least they sent Blake after like the much worse antagonist in this scenario. Yeah, Mara could potentially be a fun, like, not quite as satisfying as like a Grandma Rose Demon Central sort of antagonist, but like Mara deciding to dump all the white colonizers into the abyss tracks. You know? Like, that makes a shit ton of sense.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah,
She's
so
so evil.
she's so fucking scary.
Mm-hmm. She's scary.
But yeah, so Alistair's like, hey, let's talk. And they go outside, and, Green Eyes, like, catches a frozen snowflake, and it's pretty cute. And, they talk about, the thing that's going on. And Alistair heals Evan, and, like, Rose gives him permission, which was weird because, yeah, you should ask Evan.
I mean, that's true. Maybe they're like, he's a minor, so
so Rose is his guardian.
I guess.
Yeah, that was, I mean, but this, was a huge relief and great. And Blake says, he looks like as good as he has since Arc 7, basically.
Mm-hmm. Quoted Arc 7. Sorry, I just thought it was funny.
Right.
Not getting that.
No.
Like, just the way you said that, like Blake said, Evan's been as good as he was since Arc 7.
Arc 7. Yeah, Blake's aware of the story. And yeah, but that's nice, and hopefully prevents Abyss shit as much or something.
Hopefully.
And then Blake thinks about, like, this is the second time he's used that ring to pacify me and with a favor, and like, what's gonna happen the third time? And like, I don't know, you're gonna get useful
something extra
shit.
good.
Yeah, like you're gonna get something nice from this dude who will lose more power for it.
Mm-hmm. And you're gonna like him more for it.
Right, that'll be the thing. So he'll be like, maybe he's not so bad. And I like this thing where they're kind of like, Blake, you're scary, we're worried about you. Like, do you even know how many people you've killed tonight? And Blake's like, well, wouldn't it be like really creepy if I did? And the only reason this argument works is because he's killed so many people. Like, if it was one person or two people, it'd be like, no, you should remember that. But like, he's like, well, given that I've killed 28 people, wouldn't it be weird if I knew exactly how all of that went down? And it's like, I guess. But
like he almost needs like one of those hand counters, like for like Green Eyes somebody to carry. Just be like, all right, ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Click, 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 click.
And then it could be like, well, funny you should ask, Alistair.
Green Eyes, what's the count?
We've been keeping track, just in case you asked this.
Oh my god! It reminds me of It kind of reminds me of the Lord of the Rings when Legolas and Gimli like have a contest to see how many orcs they can kill or whatever.
That's right.
And they're keeping like an active running count, so that's fun. But then also, yeah, like other book series where people have lists about people they. So I'm thinking specifically of like The Wheel of Time, and the main character feels a lot of guilt about specifically the women who die for him. And he remembers the names of all the women who he thinks like he caused their death or whatever. And he has this like list going through his head that he like really fixates on. And it's like very unhealthy and like sexist kind of, because he doesn't give a shit about the men who die. Like in the same way. And yeah, that is definitely very unhealthy. But like Rand didn't actually kill those people usually. Yeah. Anyway.
I feel like the scene in Lord of the Rings with Legolas and Gimli, it wouldn't seem so fun if it was like humans on the other side
doing it. Yeah.
well, obviously it was the orcs doing it, but I was also saying like if they were fighting like other like humans or people instead,
right,
and doing the count, yeah, it wouldn't quite be as playful because orcs are like monsters.
Right, they're like irredeemable, whatever.
Yeah, like evil, made out of. They're like mud babies of doom.
Right. It does. Thinking about it, I think from the humans' perspective, it is like the orcs. If the orcs were counting, in that battle, you know, because like Blake is scary, like they're all like scary boogie bad.
That's true.
So yeah,
That's true.
just imagining Blake and Green Eyes like competing to see how many humans they could kill. That's upsetting.
That's so messed up.
I like Listen Gimli bad. Just cause.
Or just if like listen, Gimli had someone with like a hand clicker being like, all right, go.
Are they sadistic?
Yeah. Like, what's wrong with you? Anyway.
Yeah. So we come back to this whole fuck the seal bit again. And, you know, they're like, well, the Abyss would not be able to get as much of a hold on you so quickly. Because you wouldn't change as much. You'd be more like nailed down as this one thing. But also, you know, you'd be a lot easier to bind and keep track of and stuff. And he's like, no,
Absolutely not.
like, I would be giving up an integral part of myself. And like, you know, I speculated about like, you know, is Blake the heir? Is Rose the heir? Are they both supposed to die? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But like this complete disdain for the seal seems like something Grandma Rose would want. Like she wants to overthrow the system. And maybe the seal isn't actually part of what Grandma Rose perceives to be the problem. She's worried about demons destroying everything. And it seems like maybe the seal would be helpful in that fight, although maybe the structures created around the seal don't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, his complete like absolutely no, I will not with the seal is fascinating and feels important because it keeps coming up.
Yeah. And they bring up the lawyers.
And they're like, yeah, we're supposed to make the house nice and the house sucks and they're gonna be a problem. And Alistair's like, well, should we just call him now? Like, deal with it now? Like, whatever. And Blake and Rose are like, no.
No. Like,
and that was really funny.
Yeah.
Because Alistair even had to institute a rule that was like, okay, you two can't talk to each other.
Because this is just getting ridiculous.
You can't not fight. And the fact that they both are like, nope, don't call the lawyers. It's like funny to me as a lawyer, kind of. But then also, like, yeah, they're like, is this good or bad? Like, you agreed. Like, what does that mean? And I think that, yeah, having the lawyers show up now would probably only complicate things. And they don't have a good solution to deal with stuff. So this seems like the right call.
Yeah. I think so. I think that would be just real bad.
Yeah. They briefly talk about, you know, the Duchamps and, you know, like, okay, we got to go against Johannes and other people and mostly Johannes. And, you know, the Duchamps are real fucked up. And Alistair gives Blake kind of a pointed look. And Blake's like, yeah, I did take those bitches out. But, like, this reminds me that I don't think Blake knows that, like, there was a weird, like, meltdown murder spree after he left.
Yeah.
And so I think that Alistair thinks that Blake, like, you know, fucked things up more or whatever. Because, like, Alistair wasn't there. Like, I don't know what they know. But, you know, Podrick was like, this is gonna fuck up Blake's whole shit. And I don't get why yet. But this was a moment of like, oh, Blake doesn't know about all that crap, which seems bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, they decide the new plan is not like team up. The new plan is like balance. It's like if you're on that part of the city and you're on that part of the city and you're both sort of doing the things that we kind of want, you won't be fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so Rose and Blake split up into two different teams. Blake runs into Jeremy and then sees Johannes's play.
I'm real hype about this. When they describe the two groups, it feels like we got the best of every possible split. I mean, like, as much as I want Blake and Alexis to be more resolved, it feels like this is not the time. So that was a fun split. And like Tiff is great. And Tiff and Green Eyes is so fun. So that was really fun. And then, we get Peter and Roxanne, like, holy shit, like, we're fucking flying. Best Thorburns, like, so good. Like, Kristoff would have been fun.
Yes.
But I'm kind of glad that he's not running around the city. Like, Ty is also kind of fun, but also good that he's, at base. But you don't want Ellie and Catherine, like, that'd be boring and whiny. You want, like, fucking chaos. You want, like, the absolute. You want the snark. You want the trauma. You want the pure, like, what's it called when you're smart, but you're, like cunning? You want that.
Yeah.
The faceless woman, like, the Revenant's fine, but the faceless woman, like, with the green eyes combination, just how fucking scary she is, that's super fun. Obviously, we get the Feathered Man because Blake spent, like, a whole paragraph describing him for no reason, so he's coming.
Yeah.
And then some other dude who has nice clothes or something, and I'm so hype.
It's pretty hype.
Yeah, like, it's so exciting. And, like, already, like, we get Green Eyes, like, trying to be comforting Tiff, and Tiff being, like, super freaked out, and that's super fun, but she's also trying to be, like, kind of nice about it.
Try to be nice, yeah.
And it's so great. And, like, yeah, I feel like the Blake and Alexis thing and their relationship and where it's at is pretty upsetting.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird, like, Blake and Green Eyes, like, being cute and flirty and kind of, starting to form a relationship was fun, but then it's like Alexis is here and, like, I feel, like, bad, but I, like, shouldn't, because Blake was never with Alexis, and he's totally free to pursue other things and stuff, but it just feels like there's this, like, unresolved shit.
Yeah. Something odd.
Yeah, but Blake can't work with Alexis right now, and yeah.
So it goes to Jeremy.
Jeremy!
We're changing some stuff up.
Jeremy is sad. So they tell Jeremy the plan. They ask for some help. Split your help evenly between us, please, and then, like, go talk to Alistair with everyone up with all the rest of your people. Like, my plan still stands. The behemoths were drained of their power, and now we're going after Johannes. And part of this is because, the Abyss is trying to get the city, and someone or something is helping it. Jeremy or someone speculates that if Jacob's Bell falls, then Johannes will just, like, drain the swamp and expand, because we're reminded that Johannes's domain isn't technically really in Jacob's Bell, like, it's the north end. So maybe the north end isn't falling. And that's wild.
Great.
But yeah, the plan, the current immediate plan is that Rose is going after the Briar Girl to be like, what's up, want to fight Johannes? Blake is going after Mara, presumably not necessarily to be like, what's up, you want to fight Johannes? Because Jeremy's like, you're hunting an experienced practitioner in her own domain? Bold. And, like, yeah. So he gives, like, one satyr, one Maynard. He's like, do not get them killed. They will be bodyguards to Duchamps. They will not fight. Like, don't. Which is fun. And then we see the deep, dark sadness that is inside Jeremy because, he's kind of accepting that he doesn't have Sandra anymore. He's a little mad, and I'm sad, and I hate it.
Yeah, it sucks.
And it just feels like it's irreconcilable, and I don't want it to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. But so we're scared and hyped because we're gonna go fight fucking Mara or something. But instead of doing that, there's a fucking dragon? Like, there's a dragon.
It seems like a dragon.
There's a dragon and a big dude with a beard.
A big ass dude and a dragon.
And yeah, Johannes is helping them on their way to the Abyss. If you want to sink people, you gotta drop something big on them.
Thanks a fucking lot, bruh.
Which is a fucking dragon. And, like, I don't know if it's, like, literally a dragon. It's probably, like, I mean, it's basically a dragon and a big dude.
A dragon and a big dude. So, like, do you think, like, the dude's gonna cannonball onto them? Or you think, like, the dragon's just gonna, like, plop down? Or you think it's gonna be, like, a combo? What are you thinking?
I guess I was thinking, like, the dragon would just knock a bunch of buildings down or something.
Hmm.
I wasn't thinking that they would like actually
like
drop.
be that literal. I mean,
But like
you
it
don't know.
probably would be effective.
Don't you just want to like if that guy did a cannonball into like a big body of water? I mean, I guess we don't know how big he is exactly, but we know he's big.
big.
Like, how high you think the splash would go or the waves go?
Well, that's interesting because like I don't know how high a splash goes for like a normal person doing a cannonball.
Hmm.
How high splash?
That's a good question.
There's got to be some scientific.
It probably depends on how high you go up and depth of the water and
How big you are.
yes. Yeah, if you like, I mean, a cannonball, it's a good amount of area.
All right, the closer you are to a 90-degree angle, the larger splash you'll make. Try to keep a perfect sphere shape. But how big? How? They're like telling me how. I don't care how. How big?
We might just have to measure it next time. I mean, I haven't done a cannonball in a long time, but
How big
just
is
be
a
like,
cannonball?
get a tape measure ready.
Yeah, if anyone out there knows the formula
Tape
for
measure is probably a terrible way to do that,
cannonball.
actually, because it's flimsy. Like, get a yardstick, get a plastic one.
Well, if you somehow, I don't know.
If there's like a diving board and someone holds it from the top and just drops it down, you know, then
and you could get a picture.
you get a picture.
Then maybe you could figure.
Take a film and then just like pause it. Right. Yeah.
And
I think
unless
that's
it
how
goes
you'd have to
over
do it.
yeah.
Is there like a Guinness World Record? Like largest splash?
Largest cannonball.
They've got some weird world records, so I wouldn't be shocked. I feel like that if they don't have that yet, they have some weird stuff like most snaps, like most finger snaps in a minute.
They have like most people to do a cannonball at the same time. That's lame.
That's lame. I mean, that's actually would be probably
the
pretty
largest
fun.
splash ever recorded as of 2018. I doubt that this was the largest splash ever recorded. That's pretty big. So I think you could maybe get a splash taller than you.
Okay, how tall is it? Don't leave us in suspense.
So if the guy is...
Are you telling us the
40
record?
feet tall. No, it was just a video of some dudes jumping into a pool.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not that exciting. I thought you like got like the measurement and you're like, oh, that's pretty big. Okay, moving on.
No, sorry. It was just like these two dudes jumping into a pool, and it did get pretty tall.
Okay.
Wait, okay. This says the greatest height achieved by a human cannonball is 89 feet.
89 feet? Does that mean like the splash or like jumping into the water from?
I don't know.
Okay, either way, that's like
which
that's
is
fucking
a little over
ridiculous.
27 meters. Wait, no.
Doesn't make any damn sense.
No,
I feel like you die.
No, wait. I think. Fuck.
What? Is it an actual cannonball?
Yeah, no, wait. I think this is like the human.
That makes more sense.
No, it's not. It's like the human cannon thing.
Oh.
Like being launched out of a cannon.
Oh, so no water involved.
No water involved.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess that is a cannonball technically. That's a very literal, like, you know. I guess he could do that. How big? Like, it'd have to be a big ass cannon for that guy. And then who would set off? I guess the dragon would set off the cannon because, like, you know, flame right there.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of technique about it, and they're not telling me how big. So.
Okay. Well.
I'd say 60 feet.
Everyone listening, there's a world record that's just waiting to be gotten.
Yeah.
So if you got a pool,
figure out how to measure it, well.
Figure out how to measure it, and you just got to be the first one, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they can't prove that someone's done it better. So.
Totally.
All right. Anything else to say about this part?
No.
All right. Now we're at our pale in comparison section where we talk about how something compares to pale. I don't remember any cannonballers, although we did have that slide, which was pretty sweet. But I guess technically they didn't actually cannonball in this chapter, so can't really compare that. True. Do you have anything you want to talk about in particular?
I don't know. I guess like going out like into town or whatever. This kind of reminds me of like various fight scenes that have happened in like downtown Kennett or something. I'm trying to put my finger on one, but feelings of like the various Kenneteers like running around in groups with like others, and like maybe when like the practitioners were all invading,
Hmm.
when Musser was during the like big Musser arc or something.
Okay.
It's kind of the similar energy to where we get at the very end with like groups and running around.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, something I don't know if this is why exactly, but something about Jeremy reminds me of Matthew. Um
Hmm.
like but like Jeremy's the one who did the betrayal, not Matthew, like
Yeah.
or not, yeah, not his wife, and Matthew's much more sad, whereas Jeremy's a little like losing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I realized as we were talking about it that like I don't like I feel similarly about Jeremy as I did about Matthew, and I'm excited for where Matthew's headed in his life or whatever. But a man who has lost his wife because of a betrayal, I guess. Although Jeremy's seems more understandable and also much more uh foreseen. What's the word? Predicted. Sandra knew it was
Mm,
coming. Basically, she could, whereas Matthew had no fucking clue that his wife was poisoning him.
yeah.
But there was something in that felt similar. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, cool. Now the part we're all waiting for. Malia, what is your bold and specific prediction for this week?
Okay. I was trying to think of something that had to do with the arc title, but I couldn't quite come out with anything. Like, it will not get light this or this arc. Like, that's not that exciting.
You're right. That would not be bold enough.
Right, and like indefinitely, like, so I guess like the big dude is a giant and there's a dragon. That's not that wild.
Mm-hmm.
I guess when they meet up with Mara to confront her, Corvidae will also be there to
Hmm.
support her and fuck things up.
Okay. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I like it. All right,
I
cool.
also
Thank you
kind
for
of
that.
think
Mhm.
that this time, because if we got another 24 Hours of Darkness, I don't think that the binding with Barbatorum is going to fuck up this first time she has to check on it.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yay.
Hopefully you're right.
Hopefully.
All right. Our last discussion question was, what is a good PSA slogan/campaign for practitioners? And I think a lot of people were inspired because we got a lot of submissions. So we're going to try to go through this. Some of them we may have to summarize a bit.
Yeah. And we might not have gotten every single one
Every
from
single
the
one.
Discord, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I tried.
they're pretty fun.
So Bonsley67 says, I can see a 50s comic style ad campaign warning about the signs of doppelgangers and shapeshifters. Have you noticed a friend or a close family member all of a sudden who has a different laugh? Do they no longer enjoy things they once did? Do their pupils change when they think you aren't looking? Watch for the dangers of the hidden menace.
Oh, it feels useful.
That's great.
Yeah. Beard of Valor
Had two.
has two suggestions. So the first one is, I didn't just lose the battle in the war. I didn't just lose my life and my soul. I also consigned my comparatively innocent familiar to an unknown yet absolutely horrifying end. Demons, not even once. And then the second is, measure parentheses the diagram twice, cast once, which I like that one.
Very good. Hobie Demon says, don't practice distractished, which they probably mean don't practice distracted, but maybe they
It
also meant
rhymed.
distracted. That I can't even speak. It did rhyme. It did sound. It's catchy. Don't practice distractished. Don't do it. In the time it takes to check the road ahead of you, gremlins in your vehicle can take a dozen different paths to sabotage the diagram you've been working on your phone. A mislaid diagram could fail in catastrophic ways, allowing bound demons an exit clause with which to avail themselves of myriad bodies to amuse with pains and pleasures indivisible. The life you save may be your own. Pull over or use a combination of argumentative diagram with heraldic palisade elements to force your vehicle to avoid obstacles while you perform the more important tasks of ensuring that the binds you wrought for the centibites you'll soon face won't fail in ways that allow you to witness the flaying and inter-articulation of every person with whom you've loved enough to tell that you still love them if you met as worms. And you will, if those centibites get out. Don't practice distracted. This message was paid for by the Oxford Index Cards and Douglas Bradley.
Beleg Tall says, after this past couple of chapters, I can't help but wonder why anyone ever trusts that people are who they say they are, considering that there are Fae around. There needs to be an educational campaign about verifying identities before making agreements or promises. Holy crap, yes.
Yeah.
The fairy are scary and good at their job, but it feels like the Duchamps are bad. Like somebody should know.
I'm gonna be honest, the fairy are scary. That's a good slogan right there.
Fairy are scary.
Fairy are scary. So Captain Rhino says Practitioner Society needs a PSA about dangerous wild practitioners corrupting the youth into ways of friendship and kindness.
Yes. Sengachi suggests sight before you fight. A mantra for practitioners who forget to use the sight on an opponent and get their asses kicked because of it, which, heck yeah.
It's pretty great. Mirth Strike, their PSA. Image of an egg. This is your brain. The egg is cracked into a bowl, revealing a viscous tar-like mass with a knot of matted hair for a yolk. This is your brain on Abyss. Any questions?
Ew.
Yeah, it's pretty descriptive. It's pretty gross, man. But touche.
Koro suggested a PSA where an erratic swingy intercut shots over the muddy guitar riffs, focusing on a young practitioner kneeling down next to a binding diagram, trapping an innocent-looking fairy, and carefully unpicking the diagram. And it says, releasing bound others is stealing. Stealing is against the law. Cut to a fast-motion shot of the practitioner abandoning their work and leaving while the fairy creature howls silently in anger and despair. Unbinding. It's a crime. And then Tommy B contributed, you wouldn't unbind a car. Which is so good.
So good. So good. The fairies with a Y, like lowercase,
yes,
Fairy.
Little cute fairy.
Little cute fairy, not the obviously not innocent fairy. Yeah, I like that one. Elliot shared, in Australia there's a big PSA campaign where in the ads people would do the tiny penis gesture at young men driving recklessly or being otherwise obnoxious on the road, basically encouraging you to shame guys who do that shit alongside trying to directly attack them in the ad. I can totally see Toadswallow trying something similar to steer goblin behaviors.
Yes. And then he suggested these two other PSAs.
All right, I'll read the first one. You want to read the second one, I guess?
Sure.
You've heard of Elf on the Shelf, but now get ready for Elf Takes Yourself. Never give a fairy your homework, kids. This message brought to you by the Mags Foundation.
Holy fuck. It's so good.
That's so
good. And then, does your practice impact us? Think about others when you gear up for your rituals. This message brought to you by the Kennet Council.
Yeah. They do need some more PSS about that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now we have our new discussion question, which I came up with like way in the beginning, which is it's just really random. It has nothing to do with what we talked about whatsoever. But it does have to do with our fan art contest.
Mm-hmm.
Which is about transformation. So, in the spirit of transformation, if you were going to make an Otherverse Transformers movie, who would be the great Transformers that you would put into that role? And they could be cars, they could be, well, anything really that transforms into something else.
So do they have to be robots?
I feel like it'd be cool if they were robots, but no. I feel like...
So for instance, like Snowdrop.
Like what kind of appliance or object that's not typically alive, I guess,
would they transform into?
Transform, yeah. Or like, would they disguise themselves as? I mean, I guess Goblin's kind of cheating because they already like do transform into weapons,
right?
But like,
and like Snowdrop to a possum,
yeah. But like, I feel like even that transforming into another living creature, where I feel like Transformers, I feel like it's more funny if it's like an oven, or you know,
yeah. Okay. So
an appliance, or
pick someone from the Otherverse and tell us what they would transform into to disguise themselves, a la the Transformers.
A la the Transformers. Make it a cool transformation. Yeah, it could. I mean, unless I guess it's like a car, so it can run on like it can't move by itself normally. Without like but
I really like an oven. I remember when they started coming out with like oven Pokemon and stuff, and I thought it was so dumb. But then like when I played the games, it was like, this is Rotom, and he's like a cute little electric ghost, and he wants to possess your shit. And I'm like, he's so cute.
It's so cute. I mean, it's still dumb, but like it's like I can accept it.
Yeah.
You know?
And the keys fairy, that one's super cute.
I don't remember that. I just remember the ice cream cone ones.
Yeah, I'm still not sure about the ice cream cone ones. I haven't played a game
I'm
with
sure that
yet.
they're dumb.
Yeah.
But it's okay. They're allowed to be dumb.
Yeah.
They're trying to make money. They can only come up with so many things. There's only like a gazillion types of animals in the world they could go after. So you got to start doing ice cream, I guess. Well, also just based on that Transformer question, fan art contest. Do we say February 3rd?
Yes.
February 3rd. That's the due date. So get your Otherverse Transformers art in.
Please.
I mean, we'll count that as a transformation art.
Yeah.
At least I will. Because that would be just great. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and leave a rating and review. To support our podcast, go to patreon.com/doofmedia. And if you'd like to support Wildbow as he continues to write fantastic stories, go to patreon.com/wildbow.
You can follow the pod on Twitter @PaleComparison or send us an email at paleincomparisonpod@gmail.com. Keep an eye out for our Reddit thread in r/parahumans, where you can answer a discussion question and share your thoughts on this episode. In addition, if you would like to see all of my predictions laid out, check out our episode description for a link to a prediction tracker. Next episode, we will be covering chapters 14.3 and 14.4.
I think I need to do a fun fact tracker.
That'd be awesome.
I'm starting to like kind of forget which facts I've done. So hopefully I haven't done this. I don't think I have.
I don't think so.
If you have, it's been a while. So, but I don't think so. So this week's fun fact: the word tragedy comes from an ancient Greek word meaning goat song.
It's so good.
So tragedy, yeah. So it's the word we use obviously for a terrible event or sad outcome. Has roots from the Middle English word tragedy, which I mean sounds really similar, but you have to, it's spelled differently. Which can be traced back to medieval Latin's tragedia and the Latin tragedia. And that word originates from the ancient Greek word tragedia, which, I mean, that probably is pronounced slightly different, but whatever. That's how it's spelled, meaning goat song. So the commonly accepted theory is that Greek tragedies were known as goat songs because the prize in Athenian play competitions was a live goat.
That's so stupid! Like, can it be like, my heart feels the way like a goat sounds when it is crying? Like, can it at least be something like that?
Okay, well, goats like
I
scream like humans.
Making you feel
They just sound like humans shouting.
Yeah.
So to be fair, that might just be like that was like, your neighbor's like kid, like child. I mean, I guess a kid's a goat too, but maybe that's why they call them kids, because they fucking sound like screaming children or screaming like I don't know. I remember once I went to a farm, or like, I don't know, I went to a petting zoo or something with my family, and there was a goat, and I wasn't really paying attention, but like, I heard, I swear I thought it was like a man just like yelling, just like, ah, ah. I was like, what the hell? And it was a fucking goat. It sounded like a grown-ass man just like yelling at the top of his lungs. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is why they don't tend to do a lot of goat noises, I guess, for kids. Because it's just really them yelling. Like, yeah, it freaks me out.
Wow.
All right.
That reminds me of when we're out in public, sometimes we'll hear a sound, and Ben will like be all excited and turn around because he thinks it's a bird, and he's looking for the bird, and it's a child. I just get so annoyed. He's like, where?
That's funny.
Bird or child?
I feel like my children don't sound like birds, but maybe there's some fucked up birds out
Birds
there.
can sound weird.
This is really random, Malia, also, but like I just stumbled across this subreddit.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you go on Reddit very often. I'm guessing not, but
Not
like
super often.
not super often. I don't sometimes you just find weird subreddits, right? So there's one. Let me just make sure I'm looking at it correctly. I think Ben would love it. It's called Divorced Birds. And
What?
it's pictures of birds that just look like they're getting divorced, which I know sounds like it doesn't make sense. but the captions just like I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like they look like they're getting divorced. It's really bizarre. It's really bizarre, but it's funny. Like let me see. There's I mean, it's like I could read some of these captions out, but I don't know. Like it's just so much better if you can see the like yeah. I just want to see your face when you look at it. It's gonna be great. People write really like great captions. Like this one's like Jamal longed for someone to like him for his poetry, his ukulele riffs, or even his grub hunting skills, but the revolving door in his boudoir continued mercilessly. What would it take to be loved for his mind and not his body? And let me see if I can show you what the bird looks like.
Oh, I found it. Oh, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It has like a really long, weird throat thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So check that subreddit out, guys. It's really weird.
It's really weird.
And it just cracks me up. Like people are creative. Anyway, divorced birds.
Divorced birds.
Divorced birds. All right. Well, on that note, have a good one, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Woo. Bye.
Bye.